Carrie, could you give us some background on the policy the administration has? For instance, if I were to call and ask about an academic transcript of a student, it would be private, federally protected. But in calling and asking if an athlete is under review from the Honor Code Committee, you guys have chosen a path to confirm that they are. Could you explain that rather than saying, well, we don't comment on our private students' lives? Mm-hmm. Could you explain why that policy is that way?
Sure. In working with our athletes, because of the media attention that surrounds them, the attention that they receive, that when we are asked, is there an honor code review taking place, we will confirm whether or not a review is underway.
Why?
And that is, again, dealing with the high attention, high media attention that they are receiving. This comes at the request, usually of not just one, but several media outlets will be asking. There's often a reason for those questions coming in, and we will just respond as openly, as honestly as we can.
That seems like a good policy, but when you confirm that someone is under an investigation to a member of the media, doesn't that then give them an invitation to find out why and what has been done, which leads to maybe more news that you probably don't want to have?
Yeah. That's a fair question. Given that the media is asking us, it usually accompanies a lot of speculation, rumor. Sometimes there may even be a court record that's being followed up on, and we have found it best to just work directly and honestly and openly in those situations, given all the speculation and rumor that circulates those kind of requests coming in. The media doesn't just go on fishing expeditions and give us a long list when they ask.
Tom, how much input or impact can an athletic department official have on a student academically as far as after or during a hearing, during a review?
Jason, I've been involved in 6 years as the athletic director in a number, dozens of investigations, if you call it investigation, or just process. And some of them are to a very small degree and some of them to a large degree. But if it's a student athlete, I'm always going to be involved. Our dean of students and our president of the university, to whatever degree it goes to, then there's varying degrees of honor code violations. They will always talk to me, and we treat each one of these incidences individually. I think a lot of people have seen and think that we're just there's a bucket here and a bucket here and a golden rule for these, but I can say that in my experience as the athletic director, I've been involved in every one, and they ask me for my opinions.
Let me just add to that with any situation, honor code review that takes place, the desire is always to have the student work very closely with the honor code office. This is not something that's done separate from the student's involvement, and the student can we want them to bring any information that they would like to have that be heard and understood. And so this is speaking not just with athletics, but with any student that they are involved in that review.
And Jason, just about every situation I've been involved with, student athletes do want to come and have an opportunity to explain the situation. And when they don't, they usually just leave.
A lot of us in the local media are familiar, of course, with the honor code here at BYU. A lot of folks maybe outside of this market are not. What kinds of calls are you getting in the wake of all this? And are you finding that the questions, do they seem shocked that this has occurred?
The media that we have received this far, the calls, and I think if you look at the media that's out there now, the attention that we received actually very much reflects the importance that we place on the honor code here at BYU. And while there is some acknowledgement that it may not be understood, there is certainly respect that it's something that we uphold.
I haven't received any calls from the media. Generally, Carrie takes those. But I have been aware of the media throughout the country and in our state and in our valley. And it's very common in these situations where people won't understand. This is something for us. We live this. This is who we are. And most people that come to this school, hopefully all, understand is one of the reasons they come to BYU. So we understand that people across the country might think this is foreign to them, and they're shocked and surprised. But for us, we deal with this quite often. Obviously, this situation, because of the timing of our team and everything, brings a lot of attention, but we've handled it exactly the same way we would have if there was no media.
Let me just add one comment to that. And while it may not be always understood or agreed with, what there is, though, is an understanding of the integrity of the honor code. And it's something that is applied fairly to all students, that it's something that we don't wink at. It's something that's upheld by every member of the campus community. And I certainly think that's what we're seeing in the media right now, is a respect for the integrity of BYU's honor code.
Can you talk at all about how involved Mr. Davies is in the review process?
You can take that one. Brandon Davies was involved from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, Dave and I spoke right off the bat, and the first thing we did was put our arms around him. And our number one thing then, now, and in the future is going to be to look out for his best interest, to be able to make sure that we can help him along the process of getting him back to be with the team and to participate with the team and to do everything that get back on track to achieving all his dreams. So that's where it starts. After that initial conversation, Brandon was the way we process is he goes and explains the situation, and he has every opportunity. We share in that. Dave and I were involved in that along the way to be there to support him and to help him. And he used us as a resource, and we were able to be there and help him as best he could to convey his feelings and emotions and the way that he was going to move forward.
What processes does this entail? I mean, in terms of apologizing, fessing up for the transgression, and what happens next?
Sure.
Can you explain about the process here?
And as Tom has mentioned, the decision that working very closely with Brandon, the decision was made by the university in athletics that Brandon would not be representing the university on the basketball team for this season. Right now, what's happening is that there's an honor code review underway that will determine his status as a student, looking at his future on the basketball team. But with any review for any student, the goal is always to have that the student will graduate from the university. And that's true with any student. The support that's been given here, we want given to every student.
So it's possible he'll remain a student. It's possible he'll be playing again next season.
All of that is yet to be determined.
But it is possible.
Yeah, certainly. We wouldn't speculate. Everything is handled on an individual basis. These cases, there's not a golden rule book. This is all handled on an individual basis.
And did he come to you
You're
first?
still a student?
He is. That's correct.
Gary, because this case is kind of unique in the amount of attention that it's received, probably more so than I can remember of any student athlete or any student at the university. Would that be taken into consideration as they review the process, that he's paid a price publicly right now and has been? More so than any other student.
I couldn't speculate how this particular case will be handled, but just to emphasize that every case is unique. Each situation is unique, and it's reviewed on an individual basis.
Did Brandon come to you to start this process?
I would not know that. These are confidential matters, and how they begin is certainly confidential.
I would echo that. I'm sure, but when I got involved with it, I wasn't the first person, but I'm sure I was in it relatively early. But he came to us seeking our direction and counsel.
Tom, I'm with Associated Press today. Why would the university handle it the same exact way, knowing the media, the media around BYU's ranking, and that it would just go viral? Why not consider handling it differently because of the media?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you can handle it, but we have a lot of experience with honor code violations and issues in many different respects. And the one way that we're consistent in dealing with it is that we do it right. And you could come up with a lot of different ways in which you could handle it, but it wouldn't be right. And so when we evaluated the situation, it became clear to us that there was a step in a process which we've evaluated in the past, that it was serious enough to go forward with the way we did. And I don't want to speculate, but a lot of people have suggested and speculated other ways to do it. That's their thoughts, not necessarily BYU's.
Tom, when you you had your press conference about going independent, the first thing you talked about was exposure for the university. This may not be the way you want it, but is this an opportunity for the university to talk about its values, its morals to the rest of the country and the world that don't really know what you stand for?
No. It's the last thing in the world we'd ever want to do. That we love our student athletes. We love our students. I love our student athletes a lot more. And it's just a really bad break for our team and for our individual student athlete who we all love. It's a very difficult time in his life. So preferably this would not occur this way. I can say, Carrie hit me in the rib cage if I'm out of line, that there are times when I deal with honor code violations that you're not interested in, and that they're handled the same way. You're not interested in them. We have players miss games, and you don't really care. And in those cases, we don't make a flag. But in this particular instance, Brandon Davies isn't going to miss a game without every one of you saying, where was he?
When will the review process end?
There isn't a set timeline, and there isn't with whenever we have a review, there's not a set timeline. The important thing is to gather the information to make sure the student feels like that the student has been heard.
What are you looking for from him? What can he do to, I guess, improve his chances, if you would, in terms of getting back on the team?
I think as with any student, a student when they come to the university, there's an agreement to live by the honor code. That agreement works because a student desires to be here at the university. It's not something that we can go around enforcing. There has to be this internal desire, and so of course looking at that desire to be at the university. And this is of course talking generally with any review.
So go ahead.
I agree with what Carrie's saying from the university perspective. If you ask me that as the athletic director, I'd say I know Brandon Davies, and what I'm looking at for him is to see him come back strong and to see him have a desire to come back and contribute to this team like he has. And this young man has dreams and goals. And when you ask that question to Dave, he's going to say, this is my guy. I brought him in here. We recruited him. He's part of our team. And what I'm looking for him is to come back and be everything he can be. And so part of my job is coaching the coaches and helping the student athletes. And I'm going to do everything I can to help bring him back on track to where he was rolling. And that's our vision for him. We have 602 student athletes. He's one of them. He's not just a block of them. And if it was another student athlete, we would do the same thing.
Carrie, is it safe to say, based on what you just said, that you are looking for him to express an internal desire to live by the honor code that he signed? I mean, that's what I got from what you said.
Absolutely, but that's the case with every student here at the university.
Is the option still there for Brandon, any other athlete, to be around the team privately, attending practice, things like that? Or?
He's part of the team. He won't represent the university, and he's well aware of that. Coach Rose and I are well aware of that. But he is a valuable member of this team, and he's still in school.
He's still a student, still attending
so
classes.
He'll be around the team, and the team has engaged him, and it's important for them to be together. They're a strong, incredible family support system, and they're going to be together.
Karen, can you clarify, did you say this was the university's decision or the athletic department's decision or a combination?
It was a decision made by the university in athletics.
The university and athletics?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tom or Carrie, was there anything about this particular case that a trigger needed to be pulled when it was, rather than let the review session go on and learn more about it? Was there a timing issue for some reason?
We were being asked by the media. Inquiries were coming in, and information was available to us that led to this decision.
So a media request triggered the need for immediate action?
Well, I would not say that triggered it, but that did contribute. We were receiving media requests.
You say the review's ongoing, but obviously he's also being penalized, and so there's a presumption of guilt. So for people who wonder how you reconcile those two, can you explain that?
there was a serious violation that which we were aware of. From that point forward, there's other, parts of the investigation that we want to follow up on. But initially, we knew from our experience in dealing with honor code violations that we had the information that led us to believe that we could follow through with the discipline that occurred at that point.
Lot more question, and then we'll bring it to
Okay, Tom, when Brandon was recruited out of Provo High School, there were other in-state coaches and other coaches that told him, and it's a tactic being used against BYU recruiting, that if you mess up at BYU, your life's going to be turned upside down, maybe even destroyed. That seemingly is in the process of happening with Brandon Davies right now. Is there anything you could say to help recruits that are deciding on BYU, to help them understand the process better? Because what the in-state coach told Brandon is happening today.
Yeah, I understand. I've heard the things. Our coaches recruit to BYU with full disclosure. The student athletes know about our honor code, and the majority of them fully understand it before they come in. This is one of the reasons that they choose BYU. It's not a negative for the majority of our students. I'd say that there are a few, Dick, that they have other options and they do get that negative, but we get those kids to come here. I don't want kids coming here going, if I mess up. Now, we've all been 18 to 25 years old, and there's a possibility, but I don't really want student athletes coming here going, I have a history of something, and I might, we call it self-selection. There's a fair number in the last couple of years that say, BYU's not for me, and they choose and they select themselves away. And that's okay with us, because it's probably in the best interest of some of those kids not to come here. But we get kids here that want to come here, that say, this is what I want. A great thing that I love right now is we're getting a lot of kids that are not of our faith, whose parents are calling us and saying, I want my child to go to BYU because we believe in that honor code. And that's a great thing. I believe in it. And we're getting more and more people saying, hey, in this world, I'd like my child to go to BYU. And some go, hey, BYU's not for me. Good luck. Great. Go have success. And we will recruit to our strength, and that is a strength.
Kerry, by my estimation, Brandon has received probably 4 ecclesiastical endorsements through 2 semesters or two years at the university, and opportunities to teach and to understand and to know what's going on. But is there a concern by the university that the high-profile cases that we've seen happen like this happen to minority students, and what might be done to help them better?
And just as Tom addressed, this is something that from the very beginning, that we're very open with our students. And this is why the Honor Code works at BYU, because we're extremely open about it. There are no secrets here as to the environment that exists at BYU, but it's an environment that our students choose. It's an environment that they want to live in, and that is very much true for our student athletes as well. That it's an environment that they're very comfortable with. It's principles that they base their own life on, and then they come here and want and expect to uphold them.
And Dick, you bring up a point with that, but don't forget that we've had a lot of minority students that have come here, adhered to the honor code, and have had incredible experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think the attention right now is on the hard part. But at BYU, 364 days a year, the honor code is a beautiful thing. People come here for that, and we love it. And in situations like this where negative publicity comes around or whatever, people wonder about it. It comes with a little bit of a cost in that until you see something that happens on the other side, you don't really appreciate how good that honor code is for us. And we just celebrated Honor Week 2 weeks ago and had great celebrations across the campus about, hey, this is a code that we uphold and we love it and we celebrated it. So 2 weeks later, people aren't going to go, well, it doesn't work today. This is what we believe.
Okay. Questions for Coach Rose?
Dave, how's your team doing? Have you been able to meet with them today and, after the last talk to them about how they're feeling and things?
Yeah, I think our guys are disappointed. I think we had a huge challenge, and the New Mexico played really well. They played well. They beat us. I think our guys know that, and now we're faced with a new challenge, and that is trying to respond after we've been beat. And this team, the first 2 times we've been beat, have come back and won that next game, and hopefully we can do that tomorrow.
You had some physical issues, some injuries. How are those?
That's probably my biggest concern right now with this team is the fact that we're trying to get healthy. Jackson's, still got, an issue with at the top of his foot, right on top of his toe, that just causes him a lot of pain, and he can play through it because he's tough, but it's not getting a lot better. I hope that that can get better. Noah's midfoot sprain, I think, is getting better, and hopefully he'll be able to practice. And then James has still got that slight shoulder separation where he doesn't have full range of motion, but he's playing through it. And so those are. And Logan kind of last night took a charge and kind of bruised his back a little bit. But those things are all things that you deal with at this time of year, and hopefully they'll all be ready to go on Saturday.
Could we see a different lineup in Saturday's game versus the lineup that started in New Mexico?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's a possibility. I think that our guys understand. We talked about the challenge that we had on Wednesday night, and what we really needed is some time to be able to adjust to that. And with the fact that we've actually had 2 or 3 days now, I think going forward that we learned a lot about our team last night, and I think that that'll benefit us in the Saturday game.
Body language didn't seem like your team last night. Did you get a sense of that during timeouts or anything? The guys were either down because of what's going on, or New Mexico played more of a part?
Yeah, and I talked to the captains today about that, and the biggest thing was we were behind, and we were trying to make a run, and then they'd make a run back at us, and we got behind big early, and I thought that we kind of rushed things, and guys were all kind of in a mode where they were going to, play a little bit better, step up a little bit, and during that process, I just think we got a little bit out of sync. If we'd have made some of those shots, early threes, it sure would have helped us, but when we continued to miss and then continued to shoot them, that's not like us, because we usually find another way to score, and going into halftime, with just 8 field goals was not like us at all, and so hopefully we can get back on track.
But what was the impact to the guys with Brandon not playing last night?
I think that each one of them would have a different emotion. I expected that, because they're on a team, everybody's relationship is different, and the ones that are really close would probably have the heaviest hearts, because we all love Brandon, and he's a great teammate, and he's been great for our team, and so I think each player was dealing with that individually, and but I thought we competed. We really competed. Sometimes we might have been competing outside of the lines of our team as far as how we want to do it, but the guys played hard, and now we need to just kind of regroup and refine a few things and get out there Saturday.
Dave, you probably never had to deal with a distraction like this. This is beyond what a normal distraction is. How do you keep the guys focused on the task itself? This is going to be a tough challenge.
Well, I think the most important thing is that we talk about the positive things that we have. And I talked a little bit about that last night, that when we got the schedule in July and realized that we're playing Wyoming on March 5th at home at our place, first thing I said to our staff was that, hey, hopefully that game means something, and that we're playing for a conference championship, and that we can get our self in a position to where if we win that game, that we've attained one of the goals of this team. You talk about the fact that since I've been here, okay, as the head coach and as the assistant coach in the 13 years, I can't remember a time when going into the tournament in Las Vegas that there's a pretty good likelihood that we're going to be in the NCAA tournament, okay, no matter what happens in Vegas. And those are all things that this team needs to grasp onto and know that they've earned it, they deserve it, and what we need to do is just work through this and then continue to play well together and find ways to win games. This team found ways to win games all year, and I have all the confidence in the world that we'll continue to do that.